What's up everyone, it's Bran here from Bloody Breakdown, and today we're doing another ranked video, as you can probably tell by the title. So if you're not familiar, essentially what we do is we take an entire franchise in the horror genre, and I give my opinion on ranking those films from worst to first. So with that said, and as always, I definitely want to hear what you guys think as far as your answer to this list in the comment section. And what is that list? Well, if you haven't read the title, once again, it is George A. Romero's Of the Dead franchise. So, to be specific here, I'm only going to be including George A. Romero Of the Dead movies that were directed specifically by George A. Romero. So, the core 6. Starting out with number 6, I think a lot of people would agree with the placement of this one, based on those of you I've talked to in the horror community. So my least favorite Of the Dead franchise film, coming in at number 6, is the most recent, I believe 2009's Survival of the Dead. It really sucks that this is going to be George Romero's last zombie film. That's a little depressing, at least in this franchise. I'm pretty sure that's an accurate statement. Not that this was just a god-awful movie or anything like that. It wasn't just completely horrible. They tried to do like a Hatfield's McCoy thing, like feuding families with this, and the different types of mindsets did revolve around zombies. You know, can they be cured, or are they lost causes? So, I mean, it had an interesting concept, I'll say that. I just don't think it really panned out too well, and just for me, the least effective out of the entire franchise. At number 6, Survival of the Dead. That will lead us to number 5, obviously, and this one is another one of the newer entries in the franchise. I believe this is 2007's Diary of the Dead. Now, you want to talk about, you know, the different elements that they played in Survival of the Dead. The elements, or honestly the big key element played up in this one, is it is a found footage film. It's the Blair Witch Project entry, so to speak, into the Of the Dead franchise. I don't really dislike this movie a lot either. I would definitely, as you can tell by the ranking here, I would definitely say it's better than Survival of the Dead. But I really don't have much of an issue with this one. It's kind of a meh movie for me. There's a couple good moments in there, but when you stack it up against what else the franchise has to offer, I really don't see this making it any higher than the number 5 spot. So it just kind of lingers there in the middle somewhere for me. So coming in at number 4 is, and it looks honestly at this point like we're working backwards up through the franchise, and I promise you that is not intentional. This is 2005's Land of the Dead. And once again, this seems to be a movie that is, I guess would be a bit controversial on if it's good or not. Just in general, there's a portion of the horror community that think this is a really good movie. There's a portion that think that it's garbage. I think it kind of falls in the middle, sort of like Diary of the Dead. There's some decent new elements that they experiment with, and these films always kind of have something to say about society anyway. It's kind of thick in that one. But it doesn't really bring a whole lot more to the table outside of just a thought. As far as the franchise goes, I really didn't see that this was anything that was taken to the next level, which I kind of felt like the ones that came before this did that, even in on several different levels. So for me, I gotta put it at number 4. It lingers in mediocrity, kind of just here floating. I could take it or leave it. It's an interesting flick, but I don't think it's really ever going to be at the top of any of my favorites lists. So to not break tradition, we're going to continue to work our way back up the franchise here, because coming in at number 3 is the third entry in the franchise, Day of the Dead. You can't rank it too low. I mean, this film it's really good. The creation of one of the more iconic zombies in the franchise. I don't really remember too many other of these films where a zombie was a bit of an interesting character. So you have to give the film credit for that. This would definitely happen in later films, but as far as this franchise and zombie films in general, I don't think I'd seen it really done up until this point. So I do give it points for that. I give it, the film really does create, at least for me, a sense of claustrophobia in these small catacombs and underground being the majority of the film. So that, to me, is one of the things that stand out in this franchise, is something that makes this franchise overtly scary. Because I think at a certain point, continuously doing the zombie thing, eventually you have to, and I think a lot of different media that utilizes zombies would agree with this, because they've done it. You have to eventually start focusing on conflicts between people and groups of people and a new world forming. So, you know, it's a very interesting film. I think all of the original 3 films are winners in my book. But out of the top 3, I gotta put this one at the bottom. So, that leads us to the top 2. So will I continue to go literally from the last release all the way up to the first in sequential order? You're gonna find that out right now. Number 2 is Swerve, Night of the Living Dead. This one is also something that I've seen hotly contested a lot amongst fans of this franchise, specifically of the ones I'm looking at today. Which film is better, Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead? And people have really compelling arguments for both. Honestly, for me, at the end of the day, this is a classic. This is the movie that gave us, in a lot of ways, the modern zombie. You know, you look back at like Victor Halperin's White Zombie, and you'll notice that zombies weren't always what you think of them today. So this was definitely something that evolved the monster, the character of a zombie, kind of created something new, a new lore for what a zombie is. And it has a lot of political statements in it. It cast a black male in a all-white cast. He was the lead in the film. Pretty ballsy, if I do say so, for Romero and crew on this film. So it's an influential film. It's in the public domain. If you've never seen it, you can go online right now and check it out. It's absolutely free to watch. So yeah, but as great as it is, it comes in at number 2. Just my personal opinion. I want to reiterate, all of this is just my opinion. So that obviously leaves one more film to do on this list to go over, and that is the number 1 film in the George A. Romero's Of the Dead franchise. My personal opinion, the best in the franchise has to go to Dawn of the Dead. And for me, this is probably the best zombie flick ever made, which is... as far as that goes, with Romero's name attached, that kind of puts it in rare air, at least up here. It's really hard to say something about this film that really hasn't already been said. And the film's been, in my opinion, rightly praised as one of, if not the best zombie flicks of all time. A movie that proves that sequels can be better than the original. It's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to pull off just because of the way things work. But it's doable. And not that it is directly related to this film, but the remake, 2004, if I'm not mistaken, remake of this film, also went on to prove that not all remakes are garbage either. So I would say, in my opinion, this is not only the top of the George A. Romero of the Dead franchise, this is the top of the zombie line. This is the creme de la creme. This is the best. Just my opinion. But I'd like to know yours, because like I said at the beginning of this video, I want to know what you guys think. Of the 6 films, the actual films Romero directed, that Of the Dead franchise, what are your favorites? list them down below for me if you'd like to. Also, while you're down there, check out the like button. You can click that if you enjoyed this video. You can also subscribe and ring the notification bell if you're new here, if you want to keep up with what we're doing here at Bloody Breakdown. And down below that, you'll notice the description section. And there are a lot of links down there for you to follow us. We're all over social media. We're on Instagram. We have a Facebook group. We're on Twitter. And there's also a couple of links there where you can support what we're doing here at Bloody Breakdown. But to tell you more about that is the guy who voted your favorite movie as #1 instead of this one, in case you're not on board with me. It's me, but I just kind of wanted to get some brownie points for people that are obviously going to be pissed off. Never fails, but I love you anyway. Anyway, here's some shilling. If you enjoy my content and want to support Bloody Breakdown, here are a few ways you can do so. Become a patron of the channel at the Patreon link below. You can make a one-time or a monthly contribution. Simply select a tier of $1, $5, or $10 and unlock the perks that come with your tier of choice. Perks range from early access of videos to your name in the credits listed as a producer. Check out our Amazon wish list with tech items that could go a long way in improving the overall quality of the channel and the podcast. Install Honey. Honey is a free web browser extension that automatically finds and applies coupon codes at checkout for over 30,000 shopping sites, saving you money and coupon searching time. It only takes 2 clicks to install, and using my link in the description section below helps to support Bloody Breakdown. I'm Brand from Bloody Breakdown, and we'll catch you next time.